Okay, welcome to the McTaggart Attack podcast. I'm Kevin McTaggart, stand-up comedian, and this podcast is my way of giving my opinion on whatever I want. Most of the time, it's inspirational, educational, motivational, helpful, entertaining. It's all of those things. It can be a wide variety of those things, and I try to help myself with these podcast episodes. I try to motivate myself mostly with these podcast episodes, especially lately. When I finally honestly answered the question of who am I trying to help with my podcast, and me. I'm trying to help me, a 44-year-old single gay guy who lives with his parents. You know, stuck in life. I feel stuck in life a lot. And I come up with stuff and I talk about stuff, and I hope that people who are similar to my position, will find this podcast helpful in one way or another. Please remember to subscribe, share, like, and review the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. And go to my website, McTaggartAttack.com, for all things about me. I just put out the website last week, so any advice on what I could put on it, that would be wonderful. You can follow me on Twitter at McTaggartAttack and email me, McTaggartAttack@gmail.com. This episode will be out on Tuesday, August 4th, 2020. Jesus fucking Christ, Kevin, get your shit together. And full disclosure, I'm recording this on Sunday, August 2nd. And I just finished recording Monday's episode, but I had a different thought that I wanted to talk about. So I'm like, I want to do another podcast episode about it. So I'm going to be ahead in podcast episodes, which is great for me. But the thought that I wanted to talk about in this episode had to do with asking. I am very afraid of asking questions. I'm very afraid of speaking up. I'm very afraid of asking and speaking up because I'm afraid of what people are going to say when I ask or speak up. But one thing I've gotten from the self-help books that I've read and listened to over the past year and a half to 2 years or so is that if you never ask, you'll never know. You know, if you never speak up, you never know what's going to say. But if you need to ask. The only way that you'll advance in life is if you ask. You have to ask questions. You have to ask if you can do this. You have to ask someone if they want to help you with something. You have to ask someone if you can put on a comedy show for them or something like that. Like, I have to ask. I have to ask people. I can't just sit there and hope that they'll come to me with it, because that's not how it works. I have to put it out there and ask them. I have to go out there and ask. Like, I was really nervous last year when I wanted to restart the comedy club night at the Engine Room. And I was nervous about it. But I decided I had to ask the owner if he wanted to start the shows up again. And it turns out he wanted to do the shows again. He didn't know why we stopped doing the shows again. Of course, now there is no more engine room because of the virus pandemic. But anyway, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't fucking matter. I had the courage to ask. And I put it together, and they were good shows for the most part, except for the blizzard and the virus pandemic and all this other shit that seemed to happen that totally fucked up a lot of it. But it was good to still ask and do it and put it on, and people enjoyed it while they could. And I don't regret any of that. I would have regretted it if I had never asked about it. You have to ask about it. You have to put yourself out there. You have to ask questions. You should ask questions every day. At least one question a day for permission or an idea from someone or something like that. I should ask a question every day is what I should fucking do from now on. Or speak up in some way every fucking day. Because the more you ask, the more you speak up, the better you'll be at it. Which is something I was trying to put out in yesterday's episode, but I couldn't quite figure that out. But that was just putting your stuff out there. You have to put yourself out there, but also you have to ask. Asking is very important. If you don't ask, it won't happen. You can't just lay down depressed, thinking, oh, I wish so-and-so would ask me something, would come at me with something, would contact me about this. How the fuck are they going to know if you don't ask them? Take the bull by the horns and ask people. Just ask. You have to ask. You can't not ask. I find asking cringeworthy sometimes, but I still have to fucking do it. I don't do it enough. I don't ask enough questions. I don't speak up enough. And I wish that I had. And I just think it's important that for anyone listening to this, I do say that my podcast is trying to help me. I'm trying to motivate myself to do this. But I hope that people that are listening to this find this helpful, that you have to ask for what you want. If you don't ask for what you want, you're not going to get what you want. That's how you get what you want. By asking. By seeing if the other person is interested. You have to just put yourself out there. You can't just wait around hoping for them to reach out to you because they somehow think that they know what you want them to say, but they don't know what you want to say because you haven't fucking said anything to them about it. So get off your ass and fucking ask them. Just ask them what they want. Ask them, whatever you want to ask them. If there's something you want to do and you're not sure this other person wants to do it, then ask them. I didn't know if the owner of the engine room wanted to start the shows again. And the only way I was going to know was if I asked them. And I'm glad that I did. And there's so much other stuff. I get so scared. When I think about asking people stuff. I dread asking people questions because I dread what the response will be. I dread that they'll chew my head off. And that's a stupid fucking fear to have. What's the worst they'll say is no. The worst they'll say is no. And rejection is fine. You know that you'll feel better. It doesn't even matter what the answer is. It doesn't even matter what they say. All that matters is that you asked. And if they say no, that's great. If they say yes, that's great. But you'll feel great because you asked. So if there's anything out there that's scaring the crap out of you, but you need to ask somebody, if you're scared of asking someone, just ask them. Because you'll feel so much better by asking them, regardless of what the answer is. And that's the bottom line, if you smell what the McTaggart Attack podcast is cooking.